Have you ever tried setting up a cloud service and found yourself stuck in a maze of permissions, folders, and missing data? It's frustrating when your tools are ready, but your environment isn't. That's why a clean setup and benefiting from automation matter. Hi everyone, welcome back to our course on AWS Glue and Lambda integration. I am Professor Riza's AI avatar, and in this video, we'll walk you through setting up everything you need to start using AWS Glue. To skip the tedious manual setup, we'll use a CloudFormation template that automatically creates the required IAM roles, permissions, and an S3 bucket. Then we'll organize your workspace by uploading sample customer and order datasets. By the end of this video, you'll be able to launch a working AWS environment, organize your S3 folders, and load sample data. Also, you're ready for hands-on ETL in the next steps. Alright, now let's get our environment set up so we can start working with Glue and Lambda properly. If you don't have an AWS account, you can easily sign up using your email. It's pretty straightforward, but if you need help, you can check out the additional documents to see how to do it. Once you log in, this is how the AWS console looks like. We're going to be using a CloudFormation template for this tutorial. You can access it through the GitHub repository that I'm going to link in the description. Just go ahead and clone everything in here. We're going to be using everything in here and come back to the homepage of the AWS console. We are using a template so we don't have to deal with all the permissions and resource creation. And I'll briefly explain what those do and how to work with those later. But for now, let's just go into CloudFormation and create a stack. This is basically the place where we create all our resources and permissions that we're going to use. We can just click on Create Stack on here or here, and we're going to be uploading a template. With this template, we don't have to bother with all the permissions and resource creation. We're just going to be using that template to set things up for us. Just upload it. Choose the setup-code.yaml file and click Next. Here, we need to give our stack a name. I'm going to call this redacted22. Next thing you need to do is give the bucket a name. This is the S3 bucket that we are going to use for the course. Bear in mind that in AWS, every bucket has to be unique globally, so you will not be able to use the same name as me for the bucket, but I'm going to call mine Profreza Glue Course S3 bucket. Click Next. In here, in permissions, we have the IAM roles set up. We need to acknowledge that AWS might create the IAM resources automatically, and then we go ahead and click Next. In the next page at the bottom, we just click Submit, and this is going to be creating all the resources and permissions we need. It might take some time and you can refresh it by clicking on here. As a reminder, if you want to look under the hood, you can look at the template file and read the comments. The code itself, as I mentioned in the header of the code. So if you just go and have a look at the file, it's going to create a few things for us. One is an S3 bucket. Next one is an IAM role for Glue. We'll be using this through our permissions to do anything. And then the last thing is an Athena working group, which isn't technically part of this course, but we may use it to look at some of the data, so it's good to have it around as well. This shouldn't take too long to complete. In fact, it's completed already, so that took about 30 seconds. Alright, our bucket is created, and now we can just go on to S3 and check what we have. As you can see here, we have Profreza Glue Course S3 bucket. We can click on it. We're going to be working on this bucket a lot, but we have everything set up right now. In addition to a S3 bucket, we also set up IAM roles. So let's go check them out. We can just search for IAM and click on it. From there, let's go to roles. Here, you can see all of your IAM roles. The one that we are interested in for this course is called AWS Glue Course. We have one permission policy. If you click to expand this, you can see everything we have created, every resource, and all the permissions it has in here. These policies generally grant necessary permissions for AWS Glue to access our S3 bucket, create and run jobs, and perform all the ETL operations we're going to be doing. Okay, up to this point, we have completed the initial setup for our AWS Glue job. We now have an empty S3 buckets to store data and IAM roles with the necessary permissions for Glue and Lambda and all the foundational resources needed for our ETL pipeline. The next step is to set up our data. We're going to set up our data and folder structure in the S3 bucket, and then we'll move on to creating the Glue resources. Let's go to the S3 bucket we just created by clicking on S3 in the search bar. Now, in here, we need to create some folders following the folder structure provided in the README section of the GitHub to make sure the ETL pipeline works properly. First, we need to create a folder called raw data. We don't need to create an encryption key because it's just us working. So let's go ahead and create the folder. In addition to this folder, we need to create processed data in the same way. Next, we need to create a script location. This is where we're going to store all our scripts for ETL jobs in AWS Glue. We should also create a temp directory. This is going to be the place for all of our temporary storage during processing. This is especially handy for large datasets. And then we're going to create a folder for Athena. After we create the folders, the final step is to upload our source data. I'm going to do all of this and then just show you how to upload the data. As you can see, we have all of our folder structures set up right now. Next, we need to go into raw data and upload either a file or a folder for our data. We want to get the files from the data folder in our GitHub repository. We want the CSV files. You can make the folders for customers and orders yourself and then upload the files by clicking on Add Files. Or, even easier, you can just upload the folder itself too. So click on Upload, Continue, and our upload just succeeded. Now, let's close this. We'll go into raw data. We have customers, and inside customers, we have customers.csv. Let's go back into raw data and repeat this process for orders. Click on Upload. And if you go in, you can see that the file is being uploaded into AWS, and it's done. And when we go into orders, we can also see orders.csv. This is all of the metadata we have. And these are the permissions we have. As for versions, we haven't done anything with this yet. And that's it. That's it for the setup. You now have a fully configured AWS environment with all the foundational pieces in place. A working S3 bucket, IAM roles with the right permissions, and sample data organized in folders. This setup is going to be the base for the rest of the course, where we'll start building and automating actual ETL workflows using AWS Glue and Lambda. In the next video, we will explain what AWS Glue Data Catalog is and explain how it helps organize and manage metadata for your datasets. See you in the next one.